हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha, kripa sindhubhya eva cha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta koti vaishnava vrinda ki jai. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। तस्यारविन्दनयनस्य पदारविन्द किञ्जल्कमिश्रतुलसी मकरन्दवायुः अन्तर्गतस्वविवरेण चकार तेषां संक्षोभमक्षरजुषामपि चित्ततन्वो नेहयत्कर्मधर्माय न विरागाय कल्पते न तीर्थपदसेवायै जीवनपि मृतो हि सः प्रसङ्गमजरं पाशम् आत्मना कवयो विदु स एव साधुषु कृतो मोक्षद्वारम् अपावृतम् तितिक्षव कारुणिका सुहृदः सर्वदेहिनाम् अजातशत्रवः शान्ताः साधवः साधुभूषणाः सतां प्रसङ्गान् मम वीर्यसंविदो भवन्ति हृत्कर्णरसायना कथा तज्जोषणादाशपवर्गवर्त्मनि श्रद्धारतिर्भक्तिरनुक्रमिष्यति हासं हरेरवनताखिललोकतीव्र शोकाश्रुसागरविशोषणमत्युदारम् सम्मोहनाय रचितं निजमाययास्य भ्रूमण्डलं मुनिकृते मकरध्वजस्य मद्गुणश्रुतिमात्रेण मयि सर्वगुहाशये मनोगतिरविच्छिन्ना यथा गङ्गाम्भसम्भुदौ लक्षणं भक्तियोगस्य निर्गुणस्य युदाहृतम् अहैतुक्यव्यवहिताया भक्तिपुरुषोत्तमे सालोक्यसारष्टिसामीप्य सारूप्यैकत्वमप्युत दीयमानं न गृह्णन्ति विना मत्सेवनं जनाः यन्नामधेय श्रवणानुकीर्तनाद् यत्प्रवर्णाद् यत्स्मरणादपि क्वचित् स्वादोऽपि सद्य सवनाय कल्पते कुतः पुनस्ते भगवन्नुदर्शनात् अहो पतश्व पचतो गरीयान् यज्जिह्वाग्रे वर्तते नाम तुभ्यम् ते पुस्तपस्ते जुहुः सस्नुरार्या ब्रह्मानुचुर्नाम गृह्णन्ति ये ते हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for your kind association. We are continuing our study of Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 26, entitled Fundamental Principles of Material Nature. Text 27. Lord Kapil Dev is telling Mother Devahuti, Vaikarikad vikurvanan मनस्तत्त्वम् अजायत यत्संकल्प विकल्पाभ्याम वर्तते काम संभवः. Translations and purports by our beloved founder Acharya, His Divine Grace, Srila Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. From the false ego of goodness, another transformation takes place. From this evolves the mind, whose thoughts and reflections give rise to desire. Kama, sambhava. Desires arise from the thoughts of the mind. Purport. Srila Prabhupada writes, the symptoms of the mind are determination and rejection, which are due to different kinds of desires. The nature of the mind is sankalpa, vikalpa. We want things and we reject things. And this wanting and rejection depends on the different desires in the mind. If the mind wants something, it wants. If the mind doesn't like, it rejects. We desire that which is favorable to our sense gratification, and we reject that which is not favorable to sense gratification. This is the nature of the material mind. Whatever is suitable for sense gratification, we accept it. I love Chinese food. I hate Chinese food. I like South Indian. I hate South Indian. So, whatever is favorable for our sense gratification, whatever is not suitable for sense gratification, we reject it. Sankalp, vikalp. The material mind is not fixed, but the very same mind can be fixed when engaged in the activities of Krishna consciousness. That is what we have to do. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara. Mai arpita mano buddhir. We have to offer our mind to Krishna. Man mana bhava mad bhakto. That is Krishna consciousness. We have to try to fix our mind on Krishna consciousness, on activities of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, in the material world, there is no end to Sankalpa Vikalpa. It will keep on going. Text 28. Yad Vidur Hyaniruddhakyam Rishikanam Adhishwaram Sharadendivarashamam Samradhyam Yogi Bhishanaihi. Bhagwan Shri Kapil Dev further tells Srimati Devahuti Devi, the mind of the living entity is known by the name of Lord Aniruddha. Rishikanam Adhishwaram Aniruddhakyam. Who is Aniruddha? He is Rishikanam Adhishwara. Rishik means senses. Rishikanam means of the senses. Adhishwara means the supreme ruler. That is Aniruddha, the master of the senses. Rishikesh. He possesses a bluish black form, resembling a lotus flower growing in the autumn. He is found slowly by the yogis. Yogivi Shanai. Shanai means slowly. Gradually, he is found by the yogis in their meditation. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says the system of yoga entails controlling the mind, and the lord of the mind is Lord Aniruddha. It is stated that Aniruddha is four-handed with Sudarshan Chakra, conch shell, club, and lotus flower. Shankha Chakra, Gada, Padmadhari. There are 24 forms of Vishnu, each differently named. Among these 24 forms, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Pradyumna, and Vasudev are depicted very nicely in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where it is stated that Aniruddha is worshipped by the yogis. The yogis worship Aniruddha, who is Rishikanam Adhishwara. He is the master of the senses. Text 29. Taijasa tu vikurvana buddhi tattvam abhutsati dravya spurana vijnanam indriyanam anugraha. By transformation of the false ego in passion. We saw goodness, now we are seeing passion. By transformation of false ego in passion, intelligence takes birth. O virtuous lady. Bhagwan Kapil Dev is calling his mother Sati. O virtuous lady. O chaste wife to my father. The functions of intelligence are to help in ascertaining the nature of objects when they come into view and to help the senses. Intelligence helps us to ascertain the nature of things. That requires intelligence. Purport. Srila Prabhupada says intelligence is the discriminating power to understand an object and it helps the senses make choices. For example, the tongue may want to drink milkshake, but intelligence will tell that, oh, you are lactose intolerant. You will get indigestion if you drink milk. So instead of milk, take fruit juice. This is called intelligence. It helps the senses make the right choice. Text 30. So this intelligence is born by the transformation of ahankar in rajogun, transformation of false ego in the mode of passion. Taijasat means mode of passion. Text 30. Samshayotha viparyaso निश्चय स्मृतिर एवच स्वाप इत्युच्यते बुद्धेर लक्षणम वृत्तित पृथक. Doubt, samshay, misapprehension, viparyas, correct apprehension, nischay, memory, smriti, and sleep, swapa, as determined by their different functions, are said to be the distinct characteristics of intelligence. Vritti means different functions. Lakshanam vritti, buddhi. Intelligence has these different characteristics. Having doubt. Is this really true? These are the functions of intelligence. Is this really doubt? Is this correct conclusion? Is this wrong conclusion? Memory. These are all functions of intelligence. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, doubt is one of the important functions of intelligence. Blind acceptance of something does not give evidence of intelligence. If you are blindly accepting something, that is not a sign of true intelligence. So when we surrender to the spiritual master, when we surrender to Srila Prabhupada, when we surrender to the Guru Parampara, we should not surrender blindly. Why are you doing this? Why are you distributing books? Oh, because Prabhupada said. Why are you offering food to these statues? Oh, because Prabhupada said. Why are you fasting on Ekadashi? Because Prabhupada said. This answer is not acceptable to non-devotees. We should be able to explain to them the reason, the logic behind all this. Ultimately, the answer is because Guru Sadhu Shastra say. Because Hari Guru are saying. Guru and Krishna have ordered. Yes, that is for us. But in a preaching movement, we have to explain to them the science of devotional service. Scientifically, we have to explain to them. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada, he established many things through his many different disciples. And one preeminent disciple of Srila Prabhupada's is His Holiness Srila Satswarup Das Goswami Maharaj. Very, very learned and accomplished in the English language. Srila Satswarup Das Goswami Maharaj. And Srila Prabhupada told him, giving the manuscripts, that make them first class, make them readable, so that when the American scholars, British scholars, they read, the books should present English in a very authentic way that they can accept. Now, what to do when we deal with professors and teachers and scientific students, students who are learning science? Then Srila Prabhupada was very proud of his dear disciple, His Holiness Srila um, Shripad Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Swarup Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Maharaj. PhD from University of California. In those days, in the 1960s and 1970s, which was very rare for someone born and brought up in India to come to America to pursue and successfully complete a PhD. And Srila Prabhupada was so proud. If you listen to the lectures of Srila Prabhupada so many times, Srila Prabhupada says, or Dr. Singh. So Srila Shripad Maharaj pioneered scientific preaching, scientific presentation of Krishna consciousness, which had never been done in the history. Never in the history of this world was Krishna consciousness presented in a really scientific way, in a way that conforms to the modern scientific techniques. And this is very important because there will be certain people who will want to receive some conviction in terms of scientific authenticity. There will be some who are ready to accept Krishna consciousness very easily because they have already practiced Krishna consciousness in their previous lifetime. But those who have not, those who don't have that Sukriti, the people who are not very favorable towards the Vedic culture, they will need to be convinced in their language, in their scientific language, using their scientific methods. So this is Acharya, who dispels the doubts in the material intelligence and convinces the person about the absolute truth, Krishna. So this doubt is a function of intelligence, but it is born out of a combination of Rajogun and Ahankar. So blind acceptance of something does not give evidence of intelligence, Srila Prabhupada says. In bhakti, we have to surrender to Krishna. We have to surrender. Please listen to this very carefully. Srila Prabhupada wanted us to surrender with intelligence, not surrender our intelligence. Is this clear? Srila Prabhupada wanted us to surrender with intelligence. You intelligently be convinced and then surrender. Prabhupada did not want us to surrender our intelligence. Why are you doing this? Oh, because somebody told me to do it. No. We have to use our intelligence and we have to be convinced. Therefore, there is questioning in the spiritual path. What is Jaiva Dharma? Jaiva Dharma is a series of questions and answers. What is Srimad Bhagavatam? Series of questions and answers. What is Bhagavad Gita? Series of questions and answers. What is Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita? Rupa Shiksha, Sanatan Shiksha? Questions and answers. So we have to surrender with intelligence, not surrender our intelligence. And with our intelligence, we should try to understand the philosophy and be convinced. And then, not being convinced and harboring doubts about Krishna consciousness because of material conditioning, because of superimposing material criteria, material parameters on transcendence, and then harboring doubts in the heart. That is a sign of foolishness. That is not a sign of intelligence. Please try to understand. Having doubts is a function of intelligence. Prabhupada begins, doubt is one of the important functions of intelligence. To have doubt is important. But that doubt should be clarified based on Guru, Sadhu, Shastra. Once that is clarified, to still harbor doubt because we want to measure transcendence, we want to measure spirituality, based on material parameters. I can see this envelope, so I believe in this envelope. Oh, but I cannot see Krishna, so I will not believe in Krishna. Using material criteria to understand something that is spiritual and therefore harboring doubts. This is a sign of foolishness. This type of doubt is foolishness. But to have doubts in general and to seek clarification is a sign of intelligence. You see how one doubt can be a sign of intelligence and another doubt can be a sign of utter foolishness. Srila Prabhupada says something very profound. Therefore, the word samshaya is very important. In order to cultivate intelligence, one should be doubtful in the beginning. But doubting is not very favorable when information is received from the proper source. Yesterday we saw what is praman and what is prameya. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that doubting the words of the authority is the cause of destruction. Samshayatma vinashyati. So therefore we should have that. Srila Prabhupada says, as described in the Patanjali Yoga system, praman, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smritya. By intelligence only, one can understand things as they are. By intelligence only, can one understand whether or not he is the body. The study to determine whether one's identity is spiritual or material begins with doubting. It begins with inquiry. Athato Brahma, what? Jigyasa. That inquiry, that inquisitiveness must be there. Otherwise, we cannot study. When one is able to analyze his actual position, the false identification with material body is detected. This is viparyas. Viparyas. When false identification is detected, then real identification can be understood. Real understanding is described here as nishchayaha, or proved experimental knowledge. Proved experimental knowledge. Smriti means memory, swapa means sleep. In the purport, Prabhupada says. Sleep is also necessary to keep the intelligence in working order. If there is no sleep, the brain cannot work nicely. So we need adequate rest also. Text 31. Taijasa nindriyaneva kriya jnana vibhagashah pranasya hi kriya shaktir buddher vijnana shaktita. Egoism in the mode of passion produces two kinds of senses, jnanendriyas and karmendriyas. Kriya jnana vibhagashaha, two types of active senses and knowledge acquiring senses. The senses of action, karmendriyas, depend on the vital energy, and the senses for acquiring knowledge, jnanendriyas, depend on intelligence, because all the data that we receive from the jnanendriyas is ultimately processed by the intelligence to come to the conclusion. What are the five karmendriyas and what are the five jnanendriyas? Who knows? Five knowledge acquiring senses and five active senses. Okay, I will tell. The knowledge acquiring senses are eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin. We acquire knowledge. With the tongue, we taste. With the ears, we hear. Eyes, we see. Nose, we smell. Skin, we touch. And then there are five active senses, karmendriyas, action oriented senses. And these are the two hands to do things. That's one. Number two, the two legs. Hands to grab things, do things. Legs for locomotion, to go from one place to other. These are the two karmendriyas, hands and legs. Number three is speech. We speak with our vani, speak with our speech, power to talk. That power of speech is the third active sense, karmendriya. Then reproductive organs for reproduction of the next generation. and evacuatory organs to evacuate the unwanted things from the body. So these are the five karmendriyas, active senses, knowledge acquiring senses, and active senses. These are produced again from the mode of passion. Purport. Srila Prabhupada says it has been explained in the previous verses that mind is the product of ego in goodness, and that the function of the mind is sankalpa, vikalpa, acceptance and rejection. Acceptance and rejection happens on the basis of desire. Desires are in the mind. But here, intelligence is said to be product of ego in passion. So please look at me. False ego with mode of goodness, mind. False ego with mode of passion, intelligence. Mind. Both are part of the subtle body. Mind and intelligence. Intelligence is product of false ego in passion. The desire to accept something and reject something is very important factor of the mind. Sankalpa, vikalpa. Since mind is a product of mode of goodness, if it is fixed upon the Lord of the mind, Aniruddha, then the mind can be changed to Krishna consciousness, Vasudev. It is stated by Srila Narottam Das Thakur that we always have desires. Desires cannot be stopped. But if we transfer our desires to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that is the perfection of life. We have to transfer our desires to Krishna. Then our life will become perfect. In this verse, next paragraph, in this verse, it is clear that both kinds of senses, Jnanendriya and Karmendriya, knowledge acquiring senses and active senses, are products of ego in the mode of passion. Karmendriya, Jnanendriya are from mode of passion and ego. So that we should understand. As stated in Narad Pancharatra, last sentence, engagement in the service of the Lord when the senses are purified in Krishna consciousness is called pure devotion. What verse is this? 1. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Yes, Satyavadaji?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, is it Rishikanam Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchyate?
Yes. Sarvopadhi vinirmuktam tatparatvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. Very good. That verse Prabhupada is saying from Narad Pancharatra. Engagement in the service of Lord when the senses are purified in Krishna consciousness is called pure devotion. Text 32. Tamasa cha vikurvana bhagavad-virya choditat shabdamatram abhuttasman nabha Shrotram tu shabdagam. When the egoism in ignorance, now false ego in the mode of ignorance, when egoism in ignorance is agitated by the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Virya, Bhagavad Virya Chodita, impelled by the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When egoism in ignorance is agitated by the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the subtle element sound is manifested. Shabda. Sound is manifested. And from sound come the ethereal sky and the sense of hearing. So all these sound vibrations, different frequencies, they are in ether, kham or sky. And then grosser than that is the wind. The quality of ether or sky is sound. The quality of air is touch. The quality of fire is sight. The quality of water is taste. And the quality of earth is smell. Shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha. Sound, touch, form, taste, smell. Shabda, sparsha, roop, rasa, gandha. Sky or ether, air, fire, water, earth. Like that. So when egoism in ignorance is agitated by the sex energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the subtle element sound is manifested. And from sound come the ethereal sky and the sense of hearing, Shabdagam, Shrotram. It appears from this verse in the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, it appears from this verse that all the objects of our sense gratification are the products of egoism in ignorance. Sense objects. What is the sense object for the ears? Sound. Correct? Sense object is sound. Sense objects, all the objects of our sense gratification are products of egoism in the mode of ignorance. False ego in the mode of goodness, mind. False ego in the mode of passion, intelligence. False ego in the mode of ignorance, sense objects. That's how things are produced. It is understood from this verse that by agitation of the element of ego in ignorance, the first thing produced was sound, which is a subtle form of ether. It is stated also in the Vedanta Sutra that sound is the origin of all objects of material possession, and that by sound one can also dissolve this material existence. Anavritti Shabdat means liberation by sound. This is the final aphorism in the Vedanta Sutra. Anavritti Shabdat, Anavritti Shabdat. It is repeated twice. Anavritti means to get liberation and never to come back again in this material world. And that happens through Shabda Brahma. Hari Bol. Without Shastra, one cannot get liberated. And Anavritti means once we go there, we never come back. So sound is very important. From sound in ether, we go from subtle to gross. Sky, ether or sky, sound, then there is air or touch. From that comes fire or form. Fire has a form. Air doesn't have form. Sound doesn't have form that we can see. But fire has form. So form comes in fire. Then there is water with taste. And then there is earth with fragrance. Because water is odorless. Then in this way the creation takes place. And also when annihilation takes place, Nirod, it goes from gross to subtle. From earth, there is water. Everything gets into fire. Everything gets into air. And then sound. So everything originates from sound. And then at a time of withdrawal, everything gets converted into sound. So sound is very important, and it is produced by the agitation of ego in the mode of ignorance. Sense objects are produced starting from Shabda. Shabda, Sparsha, Roop, Rasa, Gandha. Like that. The second paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, here it is said that from sound, the ether became manifested. And that the air became manifested from ether. See how it's going from subtle to gross. How the ethereal sky comes from sound, how air comes from sky, and how fire comes from air will be explained later on. Sound is the cause of the sky. Sky is the cause of Shrotram, the ear, sense object. Yes, sense object is sound, sense organ is ear. Srila Prabhupada says, sound is the cause of the sky, and sky is the cause of Shrotram, the ear. The ear is the first sense for receiving knowledge, which is the first Jnanendriya, knowledge acquiring sense to receive spiritual knowledge, ear. Therefore, it begins with Shravanam. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. First we have to hear. Then we can repeat what we have heard. Then we can remember Krishna, we can worship Krishna, etc. It all begins from hearing. How did all of us become devotees? Just look at your own life. How did you become devotee? By hearing the words of some devotee. So hearing is first. Ear comes first. Vedic knowledge is called Shruti. Knowledge has been received by hearing. By hearing only can we have access to either material or spiritual enjoyment. So hearing is very important. Prabhupada says in the last paragraph, hearing is very important, and that hearing is produced from sky. By hearing only can we make proper use of that which already exists. The principle of hearing to properly utilize preconceived materials is applicable to spiritual paraphernalia as well. We must hear from the proper spiritual source. Everything is there, but we have to hear from the proper spiritual source. Like Arjun, he heard from Krishna, like that. And by the mercy of our parampara, Bhagavad Gita has been preserved as it is. So we can also get the advantage that Arjun got. Text 33. अर्थाश्रयात्वं शब्दस्य द्रष्टुर्लिङ्गत्वमेव च तन्मात्रत्वं च नभसो लक्षणं कवयो विदुः. Persons who are learned and who have true knowledge define sound as that which conveys the idea of an object, indicates the presence of a speaker screened from our view, and constitutes the subtle form of ether. Those who are learned, Kavaya, Vidu, those who know, they define Shabda or sound as that which conveys an idea of an object. Lingatvam, something that is present, indicates the presence of a speaker. A speaker must be there if there is sound. And sound constitutes the subtle form of ether because sound lives in ether. Just like air has the quality of feel, touch. When the wind blows in our face, we say, oh, it's a hot wind blowing. Or cold wind blow, oh, chill factor, it's so cold. Because air has the quality of touch. So that is how you define sound. Sound means it conveys idea about an object. And of course, there should be a speaker. Drashtu. It is very clear herein, in the purport Srila Prabhupada says, very clear herein that as soon as we speak of hearing, there must be a speaker. Without a speaker, there is no question of hearing. Therefore, the Vedic knowledge, which is known as Shruti, or which is received by hearing, is called Apaurusha. Paurusha means man-made. Apaurusha means not spoken by any person materially created. It is stated that in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, Tene Brahma Ridaya Ādi Kavaye. The sound vibration, the sound of Brahman, Shabda Brahma, or Veda, was first impregnated into the heart of Adi Kavi, Brahma. So this hearing, this perfect message from the perfect speaker is the essence, the heart of spirituality. Text 34. Bhutanam chidra datritvam bahirantaramev cha pranendriyatma drishnyatvam nabhaso vritti lakshanam. The activities and characteristics of the ether element, sky element, can be observed as accommodation for the room for the external and internal existences of all living entities, namely the field of activities of the vital air, the senses, and the mind. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, the mind, the senses, and the prana, the vital force or living entity, have forms, although they are not visible to the naked eye. Our spiritual body has a form, but we cannot see it with the naked eye because it is very subtle. Just like we cannot see the mind, we cannot see intelligence, we cannot see the soul. Not visible to naked eye. Form rests in subtle existence in the sky and internally it is perceived as the veins within the body and the circulation of the vital air. According to Ayurveda, there is prana vayu inside our body. Externally, there are invisible forms of sense objects. The production of the invisible sense objects is the external activity of the sky, ether element, and the circulation of vital air, pranavayu, and blood in its internal activity. That subtle forms exist in the ether has been proven by modern science by transmission of television. Haribol. Now, this computer that I'm speaking to you, it has got all these forms. I can see Shamchandra Prabhu, I can see Sarojanandini Mataji, Anuradha Leela Mataji, Radha Gopinath Prabhu, Shama Vallavi Mataji, Satyarupa Mataji. I can see all of you. How? Because Wi-Fi through the ether in a subtle way is being transmitted. This device, laptop, has capability to receive those vibrations, receive those Wi-Fi, and convert it into pictures in real time. You do like this, I see you do like this. Do like this, I see you do like this. You smile, I see you smile. You see? But all this is being transmitted through ether, through the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is ether. It is so powerful, so subtle. Prabhupada says this verse is the potential basis of great scientific research work, for it explains how subtle forms are generated from the sky, the ether element, ethereal element, what their characteristics and actions are, and how the tangible elements, namely air, fire, water, and earth, are manifested from subtle form. Because ether is not tangible, we cannot really feel it, but we can hear vibrations, sound vibrations in certain frequencies. But air is directly perceivable very easily. You can actually feel it. Fire you can see, water you can taste, and earth you can smell. Text 35. Navasa shabdatam matrat कालगत्या विकुर्वतः स्पर्शो भवत् ततो वायुस् त्वक् स्पर्शस्य च संग्रहः. From ethereal existence, from the sky, where there is only shabda, which evolves from sound, the next transformation takes place under the impulse of time, kala. And thus the subtle element touch, and thence the air and sense of touch become prominent. From sound, the next transformation under the impulse of time is air, and from air comes sense of touch. So in the sky, there is shabda, which can only be heard. And now there is creation of air, and from air comes sparsha, shabda sparsha. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, in the course of time, when the subtle forms are transformed into gross forms, subtle, shabda, to gross, it's going. Air, fire, water, earth. In the course of time, when subtle forms are transformed into gross forms, they become the objects of touch. The objects of touch and the tactile sense also develop after this evolution in time. Sound is the first sense object to exhibit material existence. Our senses have different objects. What is the first sense object? That is sound. Touch perception evolves, and from touch perception, the perception of sight, which is fire. That is the way of gradual evolution of our Perceptive objects. Perceptive objects means objects of the Jnanendriyas. We will, how many verses are there? More than 60 verses. More than 70, 72 verses are there. 72 verses. So we'll stop at verse 35. We will continue from verse number 36, Krishna willing, in the next session, which will be next week. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is technical. This is philosophical. But Siddhanta Balya Chitte Nakara Alas Yaheti Krishna Bhakti Sudrida Manas. We have to scientifically, step by step, study. We may not be able to remember all this, but at least we should study. So many things in medicine also. In medical school, we learned. We are not going to remember the Krebs cycle and all those things, biochemistry. But we have to study it. Some things will remain in the brain. At least we know how it goes from subtle to gross during creation, and during annihilation goes from gross to subtle and becomes unmanifest. Prakriti becomes pradhan, pradhan becomes prakriti. Some something we know in this material world. We should know. Vamshidhari Gopal Prabhu. That is prayojan to hear Gopal's Vamshi. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, today we read that the false ego in goodness is mind and false ego in passion is intelligence. But we understand that goodness is better than or higher than the passion. But in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that uh, intelligence is above the mind, and above the intelligence then is the soul. So if mind is the product of goodness, then how intelligence is better than mind or above the mind?
Hmm.
So that I always has that question. So luckily today that context has come.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Intelligence controls, or rather, intelligence is supposed to control the mind.
Yeah.
Mind is simply sankalpa vikalpa.
Yeah.
Accepting something that is favorable for the mind and your name.
Yeah.
Vikalpa. Rejecting something that is not favorable to the mind.
Right.
That is the accepting what is wanted and rejecting what is undesirable. That is the function of the mind based on desires.
Hmm.
So this is more childlike. But a child, he demands, I want this. No, I don't. I don't want to go to school. I want to go for movie. This is a childlike thing. I want this. I don't want that. But intelligence is the higher discriminating power. Therefore, intelligence is supposed to be controller of the mind and is supposed to be more powerful. And as far as the hierarchy is concerned, it is placed at a superior position to the mind. Now, why mind is coming from mode of goodness and why intelligence is coming from the mode of passion? Both are coming from false ego. Both are coming from misidentification with the material world, ahankar. In Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna says, Indriyanam manah chasmi. Of all the senses, I am the mind.
I'm the mind.
Hmm. Also, Krishna says, man manah. Always think of me with your mind.
Hmm.
So, because Krishna, of all the senses, Krishna is mind, we have to understand the example can be given of Stri, ladies. Now we come across this statement, which is oftentimes taken as a very controversial statement, that women are less intelligent.
Intelligent.
And we say women, not we say, but Shastra says, Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Striyo Vaishya Yata
Vaishya
Shudro.
Sudra.
Tepi Yanti Param Gatim. The women are clubbed together with Vaishyas, Shudras, um, because women are very beautiful by nature. And because of that, their whole life is about their body, physical body. And also by nature, women are more emotional. They are attached to their family, they are attached to their husband, they are attached to their children specifically. A woman, when she becomes a mother, she is very attached to the children, just like a cow is attached to the calf. And because of that attachment, it is said that they may be more absorbed in material thoughts and less absorbed in spiritual thoughts, correct? So
Mm.
women are less intelligent. It is men traditionally who took initiation. It was men who studied Shastra, which requires intelligence. Have you seen the similarity? So
Yeah.
women are like mind and
Mm.
men are like intelligence. They go, they take Diksha, they go live
Mm.
in the Gurukul, they study Shastra, they grow Shikha, they wear Brahmin thread. A woman doesn't have Shikha, woman doesn't have Brahmin thread, a woman doesn't take initiation traditionally in the Vedic culture. A woman doesn't go to Gurukul. She lives at home, becomes attached to her house, becomes attached to her kitchen, becomes attached to her clothes, becomes attached to her jewelry, becomes attached to her husband, even willing to die as sati for her
Mm.
husband, will attached to her kids, attached to her father. Sati wanted to go for the festival in her Maika
Yeah.
because she wanted to see her father, wanted to see her cousins, her sisters' families. So a woman lives and dies attached to material things. So she's considered less intelligent. Husband goes off to Gurukul at the age of 5, learns to live a disciplined life under Guru, starts Shiksha, Prarambha, he keeps a Shikha, wears a Brahmin thread, starts studying the Vedic literatures, this, that, gets initiated, becomes a Pandit. So man is intelligence, woman is mind. You're seeing the similarity?
Yeah.
Now tell me, the greatest devotee of Krishna is man or woman?
Woman.
The biggest Geet in Srimad Bhagavatam, all the five Geets, which are the Pancha Pran of Srimad Bhagavatam, they are sung by men, Arjun,
Woman.
Uddhav, Vidur, Maitreya, or sung by simple village girls.
Yeah.
You see, women are like mind, but the mind is most beautiful because
Mm.
mind knows simply to innocently love.
Mm.
Whereas intelligence can become like the 10th canto Yogic Brahmanas.
Mm.
Mudra, mantra, tantra, kal, desh, patra, and you'll miss the bus.
Mm.
But women, even though they are more similar to the mind, they are always under the intelligence, they are controlled by the intelligence. But
Mm.
mind is something very beautiful. Therefore, Krishna says, Indriyana manachasmi.
Mm.
The beauty of the mind is that it knows how to innocently love like a child.
Mm.
And that child, you know, mind, sankalp vikalp, that's like a child.
Mm.
I want to go to play with my friends. I don't want to go to school. Sankalpa vikalpa.
Mm.
Sankalpa for playing with friends, vikalpa for school. That's
Mm.
like a child.
Right.
But to go to the kingdom of God, you need childlike innocence.
Yes.
See the paradox.
Mm.
Materially disqualified, but spiritually very qualified.
Mm.
First stuti in Bhagavatam by a lady, Kunti
Mm.
Maharani,
Right.
who says, Janma Ishvara Shuddha Shritir. And Tvam Akinchana Gochara. You're only, and she has the humility to say that after all, I am a woman.
Mm.
I cannot understand. In Kunti Stuti,
Yeah.
Kunti
Right.
Maharani says, I am a woman after all. And it is Kunti Maharani who is the only person who prays that Vipada Sastutat Shashwat,
Yeah.
Tatra Tatra Jagat Guru. Let Vipatti come Shashwat. Let it come forever. Nobody prays like that.
Right.
It is the glorious Srimati Kunti Maharani who prayed like that. Why? Because they are very innocent.
Mm.
They just innocently know how to love. They just innocently know how to love. Yashoda Maya took a promise from Nanda Baba that I am letting my Kanha go to Mathura with Akrur. on the condition, I'm sending you on the condition that you will bring my Kanha back.
Back.
And she took hand of Nanda Baba and took hand of Krishna and put Krishna's hand in Nanda Baba's hand. That Nanda Baba, I am putting my life and soul in your hand in the form of Kanha. He is more dear to me than my life. I am sending you so that you will bring him back. Nanda Baba came back without Krishna. Would Mother Yashoda ever come back without Krishna?
No.
Hare Krishna. Srila Rupa Goswami writes, who is the greatest devotee in Vatsalya Ras in Sri Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu? And number one is Mother Yashoda. Hare Krishna.
Right.
Number one is Mother Yashoda. Even higher than Nanda Baba. Therefore, women may have a material disadvantage, but spiritually, they have a great advantage. Bhakti Vaibhava में देख लो कितने माता जी और कितने प्रभु जी थे. So like that. So
Yeah.
therefore, mind is coming from goodness, takes you to Krishna, and intelligence is coming from passion. Because as Prabhupada explained, intelligence can become a very big trap. है ना?
Mm.
Samshayatma
Right.
vinashti. And samshaya, doubt, is a function of intelligence,
Intelligence.
not mind. And sankalp vikalpa is very good for the mind because sharanagati means sankalpa vikalpa.
Sankalpa vikalpa.
Anukula sankalpa, pratikula vivarjana.
Right.
Like that.
Mm.
So these are my thoughts, Prabhuji. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It helps.
Yes, Prabhuji. I
Mind is a very beautiful,
right.
very beautiful thing.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
this mind is offered to Krishna, it becomes the most beautiful offering.
Right.
Man mana.
Right.
Like that.
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
Prabhuji. Today actually it got cleared. Like I had this thought for many years actually, but today it got clear. And you
Hare
said it right because over intelligence kills, because and men are more logical. Like yesterday we were reading in Jaya Dharma also that logic kills ultimately bhakti. So that is very true. Like now, if we correlate these two things together, that sometimes thinking too much and like having too much intelligent thoughts also kills your innocent, and that kills the spirit of bhakti because bhakti is all from the mind. Like intelligence is just to guide you to the right path so that we take the right actions, but it should not overpower the mind
Yeah.
to
Over intelligence is also not good.
right. Yeah, right. Yeah.
So,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare
So
Krishna.
much.
That's awesome.
Very well. Yeah.
Shamchandra Prabhu, the glorious disciple of Srila Bhakti Swarup Damodar Goswami Maharaj, Srila Shripad
Hare
Maharaj.
Krishna Prabhu, my humble obeisance to you and all the assembled Vaishnavas. Thank you so much. This is a very nice subject and very close to my heart, these topics that are being discussed now. And interestingly, you will not believe, Prabhu, my question was exactly the same that our Vamshidhari
Gopal
Gopal
Prabhu.
Prabhu asked. Exactly the same question, that the hierarchy of the gunas versus hierarchy of the subtle elements. How can a higher element be produced from a lower guna and vice versa? I was thinking of that only. But innocently, you have explained very nicely all
Hare
the
Krishna.
innocent aspects of the mind. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Uh, so can I ask you a question of yesterday's class,
Yes,
last
yes.
class?
Yes, yes.
So we were discussing about Pradhan, Mahatattva, and Hiranmaya and so on in the last class, correct? So as I understood, Pradhan is devoid of jivas and time. There is no time and there is no jiva in Pradhan, but it includes all the other elements in an unmanifested state. Am I correct?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Now then, what is the difference between Mahatattva and Hiranmaya? Because and also Prakriti, because Prakriti, Hiranmaya, Mahatattva, they all somewhere they sound similar because all the elements are there, Jiva Tattva is there, time factor is there, and it's all manifested form. So what is the difference and why there are three different terminologies? I'm just wondering that Prakriti, Hiranmaya, and Mahatattva.
So Prakriti, Pradhan, Pradhan is exactly how you said. It is the unmanifested, amalgamated, homogenized existence of all the material elements before creation, because unmanifest. Manifestation means creation. When Pradhan is agitated by Mahavishnu through Kal and Jivas are impregnated, and through the three modes of material nature, the creation takes place and the 8.4 million species are given. Again, everything based on the three modes of material nature. The three planetary systems are created, upper, middle, lower, in as part of Visarga. Again, based on the three modes of material nature. And time is relative. In the Swargalok, the time is different. In Bhulok, time is different. Brahmalok, time is different. So based on Kal, based on the three modes of material nature, all these varieties of different planetary systems and varieties of yoni, species, are created. This is Prakriti. Unmanifested, Pradhan. That same Pradhan, when it becomes manifested through the three modes of material nature, Kal and the Jivas who are impregnated, and of course, Mahavishnu enters as Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Shirodakshay Vishnu and makes everything alive, then it is called Prakriti. And as Prakriti is playing, from the spiritual perspective, this whole material thing with all the material elements, the Pancha Mahabhut, the subtle elements, the Karmendriyas, Jnanendriyas, modes of material nature, Kal, and all the jivas in it, as the Prakriti is playing out, from the spiritual point of view, from the point of view of Paravyom, from the spiritual sky, if you see, this whole creation of different Brahmandas also, they form a section, one fourth the size of the whole Paravyam, spiritual sky, which is dark. This dark corner with everything in it, everything that came from Mahavishnu, this whole dark cloud together is referred to as Mahat Tattva. So the whole material creation, which is a dark cloud in the Paravyam, which is the spiritual sky, this dark cloud together is clubbed together and called referred to as Mahat Tattva, with all the jivas impregnated into it. And Pradhan is that same material element, but without the jivas, without the agitation of Kal, and everything in an unmanifested form. When the creation is not active, that is Pradhan. And when Pradhan gets agitated by the glance of Mahavishnu impregnated, Kal and modes of material nature activated, it is called Prakriti. Like that. So this is my understanding. Hiranmay, you will have to remind me, Prabhuji, I forgot. What is Hiranmay?
I think in the purport it came in one of the verses. I don't remember which verse. Probably it was 21 or 22. In that, Srila Prabhupada mentioned, I think, the word Hiranmaya also.
Maybe a synonym for something. Let me see. I also
Synonym
forgot.
for
21. I'm in a different chapter, sorry. Hiranmay. Not able to see it readily, Prabhuji. Was it in the translation or was it in the purport?
Yeah, no, it was, I think I saw it in the purport. Just let me, I'm also trying to check here.
But Pradhan, Prakriti, Mahatattva is okay?
Little bit, I mean, because Mahatattva also includes everything. I mean,
Mahatattva
how
is the
does
dark cloud. That's what I remember.
Yeah, but in terms of, I would say, what is that? Uh, in terms of characteristics or constitution, it is exactly like Prakriti, I mean, everything is there in that. Everything is agitated, everything
I
is
would
manifested.
I would think so. Yes. So Prakriti and Mahat Tattva are more synonymous. I think Bhagavati Vasudha Mataji found something. Yes, Mata?
Hmm.
It's in text 19, Prabhuji.
On 19.
Text 19 or purport 19?
So in 19,
Text
yeah, in 19
purport.
translation, it is there. In 19
Text.
translation, it is there.
Okay. After the Supreme Personality of Godhead impregnates material nature with his internal potency, material nature delivers the sum total of the cosmic intelligence, which is known as Hiranmaya. This takes place in material nature when she is agitated by the destinations of the conditioned souls.
Which is same as Mahatattva again.
Material nature delivers the sum total of the cosmic intelligence, which is known as Hiranmaya. Mahatattvam Hiranmaya. If you look at the shloka,
Hmm.
Daivat Shubhita Dharminyam Swasyam Yonau Parah Puman Adhatta Viryam Sa Suta Mahattattvam Hiranmayam. So, Prabhuji, here it looks like Mahatattva is called Hiranmaya.
Hmm.
Hiranmayam.
I also thought the same. But
Mahattattvam
yet,
Hiranmayam. And Prabhupada
hmm,
translates Mahatattva as the sum total of cosmic intelligence.
yeah.
Sum total of the cosmos is what I thought, Mahatattva. Everything put together, that whole dark cloud is Mahatattva. That's what I
So
remember
the
reading
20,
in Charitamrita.
like the 26 elements, what we say, 25 plus 1, that all constitutionally like working, that becomes Mahatattva
In a manifested form, yes.
in a manifested form. And Hiranmaya is, I don't know, again,
Synonymous with
referring more
Mahatattva.
Tattva only.
Because
So Prakriti we can understand as basically the material universe comprising of the various, lokas, three lokas, what we say, that we can call as Prakriti.
Prakriti, say again? Yes.
The material
Manifested is
universe,
Prakriti. Yeah.
the material universe which we commonly refer to as,
Prakriti.
The three lokas,
Prakriti.
that is Prakriti.
Yeah, because see,
And
Mayadhyakshena Prakriti. Suyate
yeah,
sa char acharam. So manifested is Prakriti. Unmanifested
yeah,
Pradhan.
Pradhan. And unmanifested and devoid of jivas and time is Pradhan.
Hmm.
And Mahatattva, as you said, is a dark cloud in the corner of a spiritual sky, which is occupying 1/4 of the portion. And it is having everything, all the elements, everything is
Everything
there being
material.
manifested.
Everything
Everything
material.
material.
Everything material. And that Mahatattva, in this
Except
verse,
that
it
it's not
appears.
Jiva also as spiritual. Jiva Tattva is there. And also, some say the super soul also is one of the
Elements.
constituents, elements.
Counted.
So,
Counted.
so that makes it 26. Okay. Okay, Prabhu. I think it's quite clear. I somehow, have this, I liking towards this. And, I don't know why. But at the same time, I need to qualify myself to really understand it also.
That is very good, Prabhuji.
Hmm.
Prabhupada wanted us to systematically study, scientifically study.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
So, dear devotees, it's very late and we'll stop. We'll take Anitha Ramya Mataji and Shamavalli Mataji will take next time. Okay? Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur. Hari Bol. Thank you.